Good evening. It's an honor to be with you tonight, and I feel privileged for the opportunity I have to speak at this incredible event. As was mentioned, my name is Mike Hansett, and I'm a tax and estate planning attorney with the law firm of Robinson and Henry. And we are so proud to sponsor this benefit for the University of Colorado Cancer Center. Cancer is a disease that touches each of us at some level, either indirectly or personally. And like many of you, I have clients, friends, and family members who have battled or who are currently battling cancer in its various forms. And I am so grateful for the scientists and the physicians, the medical professionals, and all those who dedicate so much to providing research and healthcare on behalf of so many people on a daily basis. A little over 14 years ago, I was unexpectedly diagnosed with an illness that required me to take a medical leave of absence from law school. And this experience proved to have a profound impact on my life. After undergoing a number of surgeries and spending several months in the hospital, I became acquainted with some of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. I quickly learned that a hospital is a gathering place for some of life's strongest souls. These individuals were doctors, nurses, clinicians and technicians, other patients, friends, and family members. And through this experience, I gained a tremendous amount of love and respect for the individuals who dedicated their lives to making mine worth living. As I reflect on this experience, I'm reminded of a poem that my wife shared with me during this difficult time to help me put some of life's challenges into perspective. It's called Good Timber, and it's by Douglas Malloch. It reads, "The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Where the thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both. And they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life." Close quote. Good timber is developed, strengthened, and revealed through adversity. Tonight, we are here to recognize the good timber among us, both men and women, who have shown hope and dedication and endurance and courage and unconditional love in the face of opposition. And so tonight, we pay tribute. We pay tribute to the courageous researchers who are racing against time, to the dedicated doctors and nurses who are there for us come rain or shine, to our enduring friends and family members who have stayed by our side, to the courageous survivors who are fighting for sun and sky and air and light. And last but not least, we pay tribute to the beloved fallen who have fought the good fight. Thank you.
Mike mentioned that just about everyone has had some kind of connection to cancer. So since this is about raising money for cancer research, I would like to do an experiment. I would like to ask anyone in the audience who is an oncologist to please stand and remain standing. Now anyone who is a cancer survivor, please stand and remain standing. Now anyone who has a family member who has or has had cancer, please stand and remain standing. And finally, please stand if you have a friend who has had cancer, or if you know anyone who's fought this battle. As you can see, the good majority of the people in this crowd are standing. Cancer has touched the majority of the people here, so if you would all give your hand a round of applause. You can be seated. You all may have noticed the picnic baskets on each of your tables. Inside of them are envelopes and pens. I ask you to join our team of Avengers and make a donation in honor of someone you love or someone that you've lost in the name of hope. Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Wells Messersmith from the University of Colorado Cancer Center. Dr. Messersmith joined the University of Colorado School of Medicine faculty in August 2007 as the Director of Gastrointestinal Medical Oncology, as well as an investigator in drug development program working on novel targeted therapies to help people with cancer live longer and better lives. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wells Messersmith.
Thank you so much. Just going to say a few words on behalf of the Cancer Center, which is the only NCI, the National Cancer Center, designated cancer center in the state of Colorado. And really, we're here for you. We focus on our patient care, and we have the best outcomes compared to national statistics in the state of Colorado and in the nation. And we accomplish that in several ways. The first is that we recruit and retain some of the top talent in terms of patient care, some of the best specialists. We put them in teams so that they work in what we call a multidisciplinary fashion. And so there's different members of the audience out here. For instance, the Department of Surgery Chair, Dr. Schulich, is out here tonight, where we actually see patients together so that we can plan the cancer treatment really from the get-go with experts who really only see that particular cancer type. And tonight we're honoring gastrointestinal cancer, and that's what I work on. Colorectal, pancreas, gastric, etc. We also want to make sure that patients in the state of Colorado have access to clinical trials. And you'll hear a patient story tonight where he was able to access a new class of drugs through a clinical trial, which actually was just approved about a month ago, but we were able to give him access to those drugs about 4 years prior to the FDA approval. And so that's really a critical part of our mission, is to make sure that Coloradans can really stay in Colorado and receive absolutely the best care possible. We're also involved in writing national guidelines as part of the National Comprehensive Cancer network. So we basically write the cookbooks that other people follow in order to treat cancer. And so we're really proud to be part of this. And I can tell you the GI cancer program, like many cancer programs, has just had incredible growth. When I came here 10 years ago, we saw about 160 patients, and now we're over 1,300 patients. And when I first came here, we only had one very small multidisciplinary clinic, and now we have 4. And they're getting so busy, Dr. Schulich might have to start a 5th one. So it's just been great to be part of that growth and to know that people in this state don't have to travel. I've also had personal experience with cancer in my family. My brother was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 45, and Dr. Schulich took care of my aunt, who was battling pancreas cancer. And so I've been really on both sides of this, and I think it's so important to have access to some of the best experts in the country right where you live, so you're not having to leave your family and your friends and your support network in order to get the care that you need. And so it's a great honor to introduce tonight someone I've come in contact with over the last several years, Stephen Estrada, who was pretty sick when we first met him, actually. And it's been such a pleasure to see him get so much better and be so healthy and do so well. So I really look forward to our appointments together and our time together. And it's a real honor for me to introduce him, Mr. Stephen Estrada.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Awesome. It is so great to see all of you here tonight supporting the University of Colorado Cancer Center and their work to finally create a world without cancer. So let me both welcome you to the dinner in white and also let me thank you for your generous hearts. My name is Stephen Estrada and I have stage 4 colorectal cancer. Also, I'm fortunate enough to be a patient at the CU Cancer Center. I was asked to speak to you all tonight in hopes of showing the real-world results the Cancer Center produces. I would like to tell you a little about me, my cancer story, and my experiences at the University Hospital. I hope to shed some light on the work being done here, as well to show you where all of your donations tonight will be going. I could not be more proud to call the CU Cancer Center Colorado's only National Cancer Institute designated cancer center and the #1 hospital in the region, my friends and my family. My roller coaster of a ride with cancer started when I was only 28. I had just started getting my career on track. My then 6-year relationship was getting stronger every day. I could not have been any happier with the direction my life was taking. But an ever-present pain in my abdomen wouldn't allow me to focus on anything important for more than just a few minutes. Abdominal pain can be attributed to really anything. Stress, a virus, bad sushi. Side note, I'm a huge fan of sushi, so that was not out of the realm of possibilities. But there was something different about this pain. It rarely let up and actually seemed to be spreading all throughout my abdomen. When I ate, my stomach became so distended and hard I looked pregnant. I began to rapidly lose weight, my energy waned, and it became very clear one night as I paced around my house at 3 a.m. in pain that this was not going to go away on its own. I needed someone to listen to me. But what do you tell an otherwise healthy, active, 28-year-old man who has stomach issues? I remember joking around with my friends that maybe it was cancer. But when the words came out of my mouth, something inside told me that it was no longer just a joke. I was always met with the same responses from almost everyone in my life. Stephen, maybe you're gluten intolerant. Stephen, maybe you just have a blockage. Stephen, you are definitely too young to be diagnosed with cancer. Those words still haunt me, especially as I meet survivors of colorectal cancer as young as 17, especially now that we know colorectal cancer is on the rise in those of us under 50, and no one knows why. Did you know that if you were born in the 90s, you are twice as likely to be diagnosed with colon cancer and 4 times as likely to be diagnosed with either rectal or anal cancer than someone born in the 1950s? That is unacceptable. Up until that point, I've never had any experience with doctors or hospitals, so I did the only thing I knew how to do. I went to the ER. Twice, in fact. I told doctors my grandmother had colon cancer at age 35, and I felt like I needed a CT scan. I was turned away both times with a prescription for laxatives. I often wonder what path my life would have taken if the emergency doctors would have just listened to me. I started suffering from night sweats and nausea. I also started noticing lymph nodes would just swell to huge sizes. Thankfully, I was able to get into my primary care doctor. While she seemed concerned, she felt it was far too early to be worried about cancer, so we agreed to do a CT scan in a week. But before I even had the chance to leave, the lymph nodes in my back blew up. They were easily the sizes of peaches. My doctor felt them. I'll never forget how her face changed that day. I saw the worry in her eyes, and we rescheduled the CT scan for the following day. I was called in for my results 2 days later. The head doctor of the practice, whom I have never met before, came in and introduced himself. I remember a ringing in my head as soon as he sat down. I can remember the words, "very serious," and "it looks and is acting like cancer." The rest of the appointment is still to this day very foggy, filled with tears and me gasping for air. My doctor held my hand and cried with me, but I was alone. Alone in a room with 2 other people. Time slowed down and I felt like I was underwater, struggling to find my way to the surface. My next memory is of me in my car, calling my partner, calling my family, having to explain over and over and over what was happening to the person they loved. I felt like I was letting them down one by one. How could I be doing this to them? I was rushed into emergency surgery 2 days later to remove a portion of my colon and the primary tumor. It was then that my diagnosis was confirmed. The tumor broke through my colon wall and attached itself to my mesentery, an unlikely and very dangerous place for any cancer to spread to. I was told that I had stage 4 colon cancer. In my drug-induced state, stage 4 really didn't sound that bad. I knew nothing about cancer, and stage 4 sounded way better than stage 6 or 7. Spoiler alert, there is not even a stage 5. My prognosis at this point was so grim, my surgeon placed a note on my door instructing nurses and visitors to not discuss my diagnosis with me. Here we go, I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit, I guess. And so I was left to heal after my surgery, not knowing that there was an inoperable tumor that was twisted around my vital blood supplies, feeding itself in an effort to destroy me. After 3 weeks of healing, I went to a local community oncology center to begin chemotherapy. Because of my age, they aggressively treated me, but not before telling me that because of where my cancer had metastasized to, I had a less than 1% chance of living 5 years. In fact, I was told I would probably not make it to 30. Imagine being told that. One day you're a healthy, vibrant 28-year-old man, and the next, you're a shell of a person with little to no chance of living a long life. All my hopes of being a success, all my hopes of being a husband were gone. On top of all this, I was also told my cancer was caused by a genetic condition called Lynch syndrome. This practically guaranteed that I would get colon cancer and make me susceptible to a variety of other cancers. So even if I lived past 30, that's what I had to look forward to. Chemotherapy was just as hard as you could imagine. I could rarely get off the couch to go out, and even if I could, why would I want to? I had dropped to 110 pounds and by that point had gray skin that hung loosely from my body. I looked like I was dying. I felt like I was dying, and the sad reality is, I was dying. After 6 months of chemo, I elected to undergo a more or less experimental surgery. This surgery was supposed to electrocute the tumor to death and give me around 2 years of being cancer-free. Of course, that didn't happen. During recovery, I had to be rushed to the hospital when my partner found me on the couch, unable to raise my head. I was hemorrhaging blood on the inside and fading quickly. I spent a week in ICU with uncontrollable bleeding. I had 8 blood transfusions, which still was not enough to help. Instead, I started suffering from seizures. I remember having one, hitting my head on the wall and my partner screaming. They dragged him out of the room as he watched my seizing body twist and shake. When I stopped, I held his hand, I looked into his eyes, and I said, I know that this is it. I know that I'm dying. Well, I didn't die. In fact, the bleeding stopped on its own and without any further intervention. By this point, I had begun to research colon cancer and Lynch syndrome. I needed to be able to ask educated questions with my team. I needed to be the coach of my team. I needed a hand in saving my own life. Through my research, I found that the chemo my oncologist wanted me to start on wasn't recommended for those of us with Lynch. That was the tipping point. That oncologist treated all cancer types. So how was she going to understand what I needed if her patient before me had breast cancer and her patient after me had prostate cancer? She continuously painted a darker picture for me every time I saw her, and it seemed like she had already written me off as a dead man. My partner never liked her, and I wanted to live. So I fired her. That's when I took control of my own destiny, and I knew where I wanted to go from there. The University of Colorado Cancer Center at the University of Colorado Hospital. It was here that I met who I call the man, or Dr. Messersmith. From the second I met him, I could feel his sincerity, his intelligence, his compassion, and his desire to see me live. He had a plan in place from the second I met him. Since the surgery that almost killed me didn't work, meaning the tumor was growing, he suggested, or rather, he told me I needed to enter a clinical trial with an immunotherapy drug. For those of you who don't know, immunotherapy drugs activate the immune system to search out and destroy cancer. Cancer is made up of rogue cells that won't die and evade the immune system. These drugs make the cancer visible to my body and then allow my own immune system to search and destroy. I like telling people that chemo is very much like an atom bomb. It obliterates everything, including the good and the bad. But immunotherapy is much more like a sniper rifle. Your body is very selectively going after its target. Quickly after starting my new treatment, I felt better. I can't quite describe it, but for the first time in well over a year, I began to feel well. My first scan revealed dramatic tumor shrinkage. The next year's worth of scans showed minimal shrinkage every time, and while this was very exciting, I must admit this was the only time in my life I wanted maximum shrinkage. I have been on my trial for over 2 years now, and earlier this year, scans revealed that there is no measurable cancer in my body. There is no evidence of disease. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the potential power of immunotherapy, saving a young man from the literal grips of death and handing him his life back. Now this is where all of you come in. While the power of immunotherapy is undeniable, it really only works for roughly 4% of cancer patients across all cancer types. Scientists and researchers at the CU Cancer Center are working hard on cracking this immunotherapy code for all patients. We should not settle for only helping a small percentage of the cancer community. We can do better. Every dollar raised here tonight will help fund research, clinical trials, and drug development at the CU Cancer Center's gastrointestinal cancer labs. Every dollar gets us one step closer to funding research that may help immunotherapy or maybe some other new drug reach the masses. Colorectal cancer is the third most commonly diagnosed cancer and the second leading cause of death in the world when you combine men and women. This is unacceptable. Events like this one tonight are wonderful, but just showing up is no longer enough. Money directly affects the pace of progress when it comes to cancer care. If my story inspires you, let it inspire a sense of urgency. Everyone here has been or will be affected by cancer, either personally or through a loved one. That is how prevalent cancer is. So let's come together tonight with one common goal: funding life-saving research. Yours could be the $100 that pushes research over the edge. Yours could be the $50 that saves one more life. Yours could even be the $10 that turns into $50, because what is another $40? Science is moving so quickly right now, any survivor or caregiver can tell you that. But oftentimes funding can't keep up. So let's do our part to help the CU Cancer Center help others. Now I know we did this earlier, but I think it drives home exactly how prevalent cancer is in our world. So please indulge me once again. I would like those of you here who have been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer to please stand up. Now, anyone who's been diagnosed with any stage of cancer, please stand. Those of you who have been a caretaker for someone with cancer, please stand. And finally, those who have had a family member, friend, or loved one diagnosed, please stand. Take a look around. This is why we are here tonight. We are here to help each other. We are here to say that cancer is unacceptable. Cancer will not prevail. Together, we can win. My story of survival and immunotherapy can easily be someone else's, but only if research is funded. On each of your tables, there is a picnic basket full of envelopes. If you are moved by my story, if you are saddened by a loved one leaving this world too soon, if you are just as angry as I am that cancer is taking our children, our wives, husbands, brothers, sisters, and friends, then please consider giving to the CU Cancer Center tonight. And please, give each other one more big hand for taking a stand against cancer with me tonight. Thank you for standing, and feel free to sit back down. Before I wrap up, I would like to publicly thank my hero, Dr. Messersmith. I would like to thank him for the endless amount of work he does day in and day out. Thank you for thinking outside of the box. Thank you for having a huge heart, and thank you for helping me find my way through cancer. Without the work you do, without the research that you dedicate yourself to, I wouldn't be here, and I know many others would not be here either. The world of cancer care would be at a loss without you. I would also like to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for even being here tonight. By just purchasing a ticket, you have helped research continue on. By dressing in white, enjoying food and wine with us, you have officially become a part of the CU Cancer Center's family, and I am so proud to call each and every one of you my new friend. Thank you once again. Now let's have some fun, drink some wine, and raise some money.